Hello and welcome back to It's Called Football. Today, me and Izzy will be kind of talking about the World Cup final and also looking back on our predictions from at the start of the tournament. I think it was a very good final, one for sort of like history books. Everything kind of came with it, and yeah, what did you think of the final, Izzy?
Yeah, I thought it was unbelievable to be honest. I think definitely one of the best finals I've ever seen and probably one of the best of all time considering what people, the generation above us have been saying. I think Messi has definitely probably cemented himself as the best player of all time now. He starred, he got 2 goals, still going at 35. He's just done unbelievable. I thought Di Maria and McAllister both played really well. Hat-trick for Mbappe as well. I mean, he was really unlucky to not win again, but I think he's going to lead France to a lot more finals in the future.
Yeah, I think as the game itself, it was a really good game to watch, especially for a neutral, like an England fan kind of watching it. The ending score was 3-3. Going into extra time, it was 3-3, went to penalties, which again kind of just showed how good of a final it actually was. Like you said, Mbappe got a hat trick, the first World Cup final hat trick since Jeff Hurst, which was 1966. So it shows just how good of a feat that was for Mbappe. Um, penalty misses for France were Chouameni and Coman, and Messi, Dybala, Paredes, and Montiel scored their penalties.
Martinez obviously throwing the ball away and the dancing. There was a lot of gamesmanship going on. As a goalkeeper, do you think that was cheating?
Not at all. I think I'd do it if you're in that position and you're Emi Martinez, who is one of probably the best penalty savers in the world. You are just going to do it, and he does it every time he like has any sort of penalty thrown at him. And it's not cheating, it's getting into the guy's head, it's doing everything to try and win it for your country, and it clearly worked, so fair play to him. Looking back at the tournament, probably shouldn't have got played in Qatar, but it was probably one of the best tournaments that they've been, just in terms of the results, some of the games that got played. Looking back at the star players, I think I got one of the first ones I had was Harry Kane. And I put because of the Euros how good he was for us, a great outlet, and I think I remember saying he would score a lot of goals for us, and he didn't. He I think he scored two. Um, I also had Ronaldo down for Portugal with it being his last, well, probably his last World Cup. I thought it would have been one of his best kind of World Cup performances, but he didn't even really start every single game. So again, that was also wrong. And then I had Neymar for Brazil. And to be fair, I think I was quite right in that, where he was probably one of the main players for Brazil and kind of really lifted them, but they didn't go as far as they probably should have.
Kane and Ronaldo were the ones you've got wrong. Who would you swap them out for in terms of who did shine?
I think Mbappe, yes, he was clearly one of the best players in that tournament and is one of the best players in the world. He pretty much carried that France team in terms of the attacking football. Messi and Mbappe were definitely some of the ones that probably should have been that list.
Yeah, 100%. And well, my star players are sort of the same as yours. I think I got one right, two of them not really. The first one I went for was Bellingham. I think that's the one that's correct. England's best player in most games, in my opinion. He's got a really exciting future. He offered loads for us going forward, which is sort of like a new style for our England midfield. I also went for Martinelli. He didn't really get much game time. He got the full game against Cameroon, but then like 20 minutes against South Korea, 5 minutes against Serbia. I don't think that's enough of a chance to really show himself. It's really difficult position to get into. You've got Vinicius Junior, Neymar, Rafinha, etc. So it was difficult for him to have an opportunity to. But yeah, he didn't show enough when he was on. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed because he was doing so well for Arsenal. Diogo Dalot was my other one. He was okay, but that once again, it's that thing of constantly competing for a really difficult position. He's against João Cancelo, who's obviously insane for City, insane for Portugal.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task. He played well when he got the chance, but just not well enough. I think he's been in better form for United, sort of similar to Martinelli.
Who would
Yeah.
you kind of swap them out for?
So for Dalot, I put Guardiola from Croatia. I think he was
Hmm.
strong at the back all tournament. A massive part of another successful campaign for Croatia. You'd think with a big defender, okay, he's going to be a bit slow, like that's your drawback to him being like so big, but he wasn't. He was always there. He was strong, fast, he's got it all. So I think he'd be my star defender instead of Dalot. And then for Martinelli, you've got to swap him out for Messi. Like, I'm sure we'll come back to him a lot. He was just unbelievable. 7 goals, 3 assists in the tournament, 35 years old as well, arguably out of his prime, but a brace in the final, Golden Ball winner. The list goes on. He's capped off a great career by having the tournament of his life, and what a time to do it as well.
Yeah, Lionel Messi obviously cement like we've already said, he's cemented himself now, and he'll be one that everyone remembers forever. People, someone that we kind of said to look out for at the start of this tournament. I think mine was purely based on bias. I put Ismaila Sarr. Um, Looking back now, obviously I still stand by it. I think he was definitely one that you should have been watching. He would have been Senegal's, and he was Senegal's main winger due to Mane being injured. But I think he just didn't kind of take grasp of the opportunity he got given.
Unfortunately, if I just picked any other Brighton player, I could probably
Got
fight my
over.
corner, but I didn't. Who would you swap out for Ismaila Sarr?
I think there were many different players that we could have said. I think Amrabat from Morocco, he was honestly just so good defensively. No one probably would really say his name before the tournament, and now he's probably looking at a big move because just because of how good he was.
So I went for Leandro Trossard as my one to watch. Obviously Belgium as a squad, they underperformed beyond belief. He didn't really get a look in. I mean, he got an hour against Croatia, 15 minutes against Morocco, 20 against Canada. He just didn't showcase his class, which is a bit disappointing because obviously, as a Brighton fan, I watch him week in, week out, and he has been very good. I chose to swap him out for Julian Alvarez. I think he hasn't been rated too much since he's arrived in the Premier League. Obviously, when you're a City striker that's been signed after Aguero, and then one of the best prodigies that's coming up at the minute in Erling Haaland joins shortly after you, you're not really getting the limelight.
No.
But coming back as a World Cup winner and a key part of it as well, obviously getting 4 goals. He's only 22. I think this definitely gives Pep something to think about.
We both chose a dark horse team. I think we both chose Croatia, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And obviously, they got to the final in 2018, but then went out in the round of 16. They showed themselves really well. They had a good mix of youth and experience. Once again, they went further than expected. I think coming third is brilliant for such a small nation, and they've really made their mark in recent years.
Looking at their team, they're all top five players, and you can clearly see they've got a good team, and you can see why they played so well in the tournament. So you can't really be surprised in a sense, but also you can because they're not a big national team, but they've got good players, and yeah, they perform well in the tournament.
100%. And although we got it right, I think the dark horse, like overall, really does have to be Morocco. I think,
100%.
yes, Croatia shocked us, but in terms of what was the biggest shock and something that surprised the entire world was obviously Morocco. They're the first African nation to reach a World Cup semi-final. They've beat a bunch of world-class countries to get to the point that they did get to. And coming fourth in a World Cup is still an unbelievable feat for a nation that really shouldn't have made it out of the
Got
group.
that far, yeah. As for a team that did really bad, like you've already said, I said Belgium at the start. Um, they all laughed at me, but they're not laughing anymore. Belgium, they didn't do well, and they really, really underperformed for the level of players that they actually had. And it's quite poor, to be fair. I think it's absolutely terrible. I still said they'd finish second, but they didn't even get out of the groups. So
My underperformance, I think, was wrong. I don't think they did brilliantly, but I think they really held their own. I went for Netherlands. I think they played quite well in the group. You know, they topped it. Lots of new, unheard players proved themselves. They played really well against Argentina. I think they were quite unlucky not to win. In terms of underperformer that I'd go for now, I think I've got to say Brazil. They were the favourites to win. They're 5-time winners. They've been there, done it. They've got world-class players in every position. And after that big win against South Korea, I just thought this is it. They're gonna fly past Croatia. They'll go all the way. This will be the game that boosts their confidence to just sail through to the final. But against Croatia, I think they were overwhelmed in the midfield at points. Croatia longed out the game to penalties, and similar to Argentina, when it comes to penalties, Croatia are just unbelievable.
if you're not going to prepare for those events, then you're not going to win. As for who we kind of predicted the winners would be, I went for Brazil. I think at looking back, it was either Brazil or Argentina that were going to win. I mean, looking at a team, you would have kind of thought they would have got a bit further than they did.
100%. And it was me and you that predicted Brazil, and then Benji predicted Argentina. I don't think we were stupid to predict it. Croatia were very good at forcing it to go the distance, as we spoke about. They knew they had the upper hand with penalties. Argentina didn't just rely on Messi. They had a lot of young players that stepped up to the plate, made a name for themselves. And I think ultimately that's why they did win, because they didn't rely on who was stereotypically going to be the player that like dragged the rest along to the final. They all did it together. They all held their own.
A lot of teams didn't perform as well as they should have. A lot of players didn't get as far as they kind of wanted to. Looking back, it was a great tournament for football and fair play to Argentina.
Yeah, overall the football was it was some of the best football I'd ever seen in terms of shock and just how each game played out. Pretty much every game was interesting from the group stage, like that Cameroon versus Serbia game, I think it was, all the way to the final. It was just like exhilarating the whole way through.
Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you tune in for our next podcast as well. That was all to do with the World Cup. Thank you guys for listening and goodbye.